It's about time you listen to the Shenmue AM2 podcast.
Welcome back to another episode of the Shenmue AM2 podcast. We're your host, Andrew.
I thought you were going to say we're your handsome hosts.
We are handsome.
Andrew and Matt.
Andrew and Matt, that's us. We messed up a few intros before that, too. I don't know what's wrong with us.
We're keeping this one.
We're keeping it. We're here to review episode 7 of the anime. It's called Future.
Why?
Not sure. The naming of these episodes is a little weird.
I almost think the previous episode, which I think was named Dignified or Dignity or something like that, that would have been better for this episode.
It would have, considering the topic of this one.
Yeah.
This is another episode. This goes at a brisk pace, but it doesn't cover a whole lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we kind of get stalled at the mall here.
Stalled at the mall. Mm-hmm. All right. It does not start at the mall, though. It starts with Shenhua reading the prophets. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. But
just know she's doing it. The whole time you're watching Rio Adventure, Shenhua is looking at the sky and just committing to memory that poem again and again and again.
It starts at Manmo Temple. I still never looked up the guy's name, the helper there. But he's kind of mediating, would you say?
Yeah.
A little meeting between him and Li Xiaotao.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's like speaking for her, I guess. I don't know. She's too lazy to speak for herself.
And Rio doesn't want to fight her. He says he doesn't fight women. Mm-hmm. Then immediately gets goaded into fighting a woman.
It doesn't take much.
No, he's like, oh, okay, whatever.
All right.
She asked for it, even though I don't think she ever does.
You made her... You asked for it on her behalf.
Matt brought it up right as the fight scene started, that will she have her little, shadows behind her? And they did, and I like that.
Yeah. I was worried that they're going to not splurge on the budget for the shadow movement.
He takes a few punches, doesn't hit her. He takes a big swing and miss, and then they separate for a fraction of a second, and you see Rio, the gears are going in his head, and he throws in that swallow dive kick.
Gotta do my one super move I learned.
She, matrixes around it, and then puts him into a pressure point and says, by poking you behind the ear,
and then
I can kill you.
Yep.
And I don't know if that's true.
If that's a real pressure point?
I know it's a pressure point, but I don't know if it would kill you.
Only one way to find out.
Mal. I can see, if she kills you, her and I can still do the podcast.
Yeah, I guess.
Her name starts with an M, it still works.
That's true.
The AM2 podcast. She essentially tells Rio to go home. She says, I think she says, go back to your country, or go back to your home country. But either way, it sounds kind of racist. A little bit.
We don't like your kind around here.
As he's leaving, he runs into Fang Mei.
Were you ever in any doubt that we'd see her?
No, I did think we would see her because she's kind of integral to the Zhuing storyline. I always kind of relate her to Megumi from the first game, but Megumi...
Who was cut out.
And Megumi doesn't really... There is a little scene with her and Nozomi in the first one, if memory serves me correct, but I don't think... Megumi wasn't necessary in the first one. I do think Fang Mei is required for Shenmue 2. I don't think we're going to see any of the birthday sequence where you try to become friends with her. I think...
Will we see Eileen?
Yeah, Eileen's in the preview for the next episode. I didn't watch it, but I saw a still of it. But we definitely see Eileen.
She's a very minor character, though. She's more minor than Megumi. She's completely missable, isn't she? I'm pretty sure all your encounters with her are chance encounters. You just have to be at the right spot at the right time.
She's required for the duck race,
which is missable.
Yeah.
Either way, I like her, so I'm glad she's showing up. But what about the other one?
The girl from Tomato Convenience?
Yeah.
Well, there's no way we're getting the duck race, I don't think.
I mean, we haven't even seen Tomato Convenience in this series yet, so...
We haven't. But more importantly, we haven't heard...
The theme.
I'm trying to think of the theme now. Especially since you bought merchandise. That's what we should have named this podcast. Especially since you bought merchandise podcast.
Yeah.
If only we had a time machine. Which we haven't brought up our time machine in a long time.
It has one very specific use.
So she tells him to learn the wood or something. Wudu. And suggests going to Guang martial arts. Is it Joy that said that? We just watched this. I've only watched this one once.
No, it's probably the Xu Ying's mouthpiece there. I think he tells him where to go. Then he asks him why are you helping me?
And he said, I'm not really helping. He implied he wasn't really helping him. I think he was kind of more helping Xu Ying.
Yeah.
Stop being so stubborn.
Stop being such a robot.
So he does go to Guang martial arts. And there's no slowdown here. It doesn't get all it doesn't get all choppy like the Dreamcast version. He meets him. They talk. He gets into the what's the fella's name here?
Oh, I wouldn't be able to pronounce his name.
But he essentially says that he's failed as a teacher because he had one student go awry, which seems like
why are you still teaching then?
Yeah,
if you're so terrible.
Yeah, there's parts of that don't make sense. But I think it was more that he knew that Xu Ying might be involved. And, he doesn't necessarily live up to her standards because he's failed this student.
Maybe. I don't know. It seems like this one guy really affected him. This is like his own personal Obi-Wan Kenobi failing Anakin Skywalker story. Yeah, you're shaking your head. You don't get it.
I don't. I don't get it all. I've never seen Star Trek. So we get this is where it kind of diverges from the game a bit. Rio's walking around and he runs into Joy again. And he asks Joy about martial arts, and she's trying to deny whatever. And then she's like, oh, yeah, there's this guy at the Golden Shopping Mall. And
she says that, just to get a few more seconds of his time.
Yeah, she might be crushing on him a bit.
I think so.
And so he goes to the mall. The outside of the mall looks very similar to the game. The inside looks pretty much identical to the layout.
Except there's actual people in there and moving around. And well, I guess sometimes they're static characters, but it just seems more populated than the game.
It does, yeah. And the street performer, he's laying there having a nap. Rio wakes him up. He asks Rio if he's a yellowhead, which I don't think that happens in the game.
No, I think they're introduced later.
Well, yeah, they're introduced in the next town. That's name is escaping me.
Yeah, me too now. Kowloon.
Kowloon, yes. Jeez. So he causes a big scene. He says, Rio, you're going to break this rock.
So I was confused by his plan here. He's like, everybody come around. This kid who I've never met is going to break this rock. And if he does, give me money, please. Oh, you broke the rock? I didn't think you'd actually break the rock. So what was the big show for? You expected him to fail and then no one give you money? Like, what was the point of that? Just to embarrass some guy?
Or was the plan that he didn't think Rio would break it and then he would break it himself?
Maybe? That makes more sense.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's probably what his plan was.
And then I think he was bummed that he had to split the money with Rio.
Yeah, you're probably right.
It cuts to Xu Ying again. She's having a flashback. And then Fang Mei interrupts it.
She tries to have a flashback.
Yeah.
She's like,
Fang Mei's like, I swept the garden or something.
No, my flashback, I lost it.
But we do get to see that flashback again.
Mm-hmm. And it's basically the same one from the game.
Yes.
Yeah, her calling after her, well, we don't get to find out who it is here, but it's her brother, right?
Yeah. We then see Rio and, I have his name, is Jean Quan Van Damme. It's not Van Damme, but I just added that. We see him and Rio hanging out by the fountain. And it turns out that he sells books, ancient books. Rio seems embarrassed when he starts, like, shouting and stuff. Like, oh, come get your ancient books, blah, 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 vintage books. And Rio's just like, I don't want to be here. We then get to the come-over guest house, and he's like, you can't stay here for free anymore. It's $30 a night or whatever he says. And just because you're friends with Joy, you don't get it for free.
I mean, yeah. I think he was more than reasonable letting him stay for free a few nights.
That doesn't happen in the game. You start paying right away in the game. Well, you don't have to pay, do you, in the game?
No.
You can skip out on it if you want.
So do you think we're going to have part-time jobs in the show?
I do, because they wouldn't have introduced the money aspect of it unless they had a reason to. But I don't know. I think you're just going to... Joy's going to introduce you to Doolin. You're going to move crates with him a couple times, and that's it. Matt and I mentioned in Matt when we were watching the show, they skipped out on a lot of stuff in Shenmue 1. They skipped out on darts. They skipped out on capsule toys. Can they get through Shenmue 2 with skipping over Lucky Hit?
I don't know. That's like the other one of the other big memes from Shenmue as a series, I think. Like the forklifts, the sailors, and Lucky Hit, I think, are the three big memes that the general wider gaming public might know. So they might include Lucky Hit.
I kind of think they have to.
Either that or they're just going to have him fight for money.
And that he could fight Eileen for money. Like, we don't know what's coming up there. I didn't watch the preview. I just saw a screenshot of it. I haven't watched any of the previews yet, other than the one for the first episode. I don't think I have. I may have watched one of the ones for, like, the second or third, maybe. So he's speaking with Joy. They go for dinner, and she mentions something about tough cats not always showing their claws. And Rio has an epiphany here.
Eureka!
And he's just like, dines and dashes on
Gotta
her.
go, bye!
Yeah, he's just like, cover my bill. And just literally takes off running.
He leaves her some money.
Does he?
Yep.
Oh, I did not notice.
Yeah, you were writing notes. It might be the last of his money, we don't know.
Oh, yeah, he left that money. He doesn't even understand the hierarchy of needs. Food, shelter. So he literally runs back to the mall. This is like the third time we're in the mall in this episode. And the homeless guy, or the street performer, he's going to get beat up. And Rio's like, no, don't fight back.
Don't show off your cool moves.
Pretty much. And he doesn't really. He does fight back a bit. And then he's being attacked by the yellowheads too. I forgot to mention that.
Who want protection money. So it seems like he's been paying them protection money, even though he probably could have got away with not doing it. He just didn't want to cause trouble, so he wouldn't have to use his martial arts.
So him and Rio have a little heart-to-heart, and he asks Rio to deliver the letter. So Rio takes it back to Guang Martial Arts School, delivers the letter, learns about the second Wudu, Ji.
Which is basically, don't show off.
Yeah, don't show off. Don't be a Johnny Cage. Be a
Liu Kang?
Liu Kang, yeah. So Rio goes back to Manmo Temple, explains that he understands Ji, and assumes that Li Xiaotao is now going to take him under her wing because he knows about Ji, and she's just like, no, not doing it, not feeling it.
You've only learned 2 of 4.
So
She doesn't say that, but I mean,
you
know that's where it's going.
Yeah, they have a chat. She said she's never going to help him, but then she's like, he says something, and I didn't write it down, but then she goes back to the flashback of what she originally was starting to have the flashback, and he essentially says the same thing that her brother says in the flashback. And she has a bit of an epiphany, and she's like, come with me. They go to her bedroom, and they get it on.
By getting it on, you mean she gives him a little tour.
Yeah, she's like, hey, you sleep on this thing? Not in my bed. And Fang Mei and the guy from the temple are outside the door, creeping.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
So I think they're just trying to spy on Zhu Ying, and they want her to kind of open up her humanity more and let people in and not be so closed off. And she just needs human contact. So they're just trying to play matchmaker here, but not in a romantic sense, I think.
This episode is really more about her than it is about Rio, I think. It's more about, like you said, her opening up. And those are the two people that interact with her on a daily basis, the fella from the temple and Fang Mei. And they both seem genuinely happy that she's having this metamorphosis almost of slowly like taking this guy under her wing. And that's pretty much where the episode ends, other than it does cut to Shenhua staring at the sky.
Yep.
And what's going through her mind, Matt?
From across the ocean. Blah, 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 blah. We also forgot to mention Ren. Ren's in there somewhere.
Oh, yes. We totally skipped over Ren. So yeah, Ren runs into Joy. They know each other. And when Rio and the guy, when they're fighting the Yellowheads or whatever, and they run out of the mall, there's an encounter where Ren knows who Rio is. Rio has no idea who Ren is, and he just runs by him, and Ren...
I don't even think Ren realized that was the guy he's looking for.
He definitely did.
How? How would he know?
Just from the description that Joy gave. But that's all we get. So, even though that's their first meeting, hopefully that's not their, real first meeting. I want that breaking into the docks, fighting the guys, bringing the money or whatever it is to Rio, or to Ren, having to get the lighter. All of that. I want some sort of test for Rio to get to meet Ren at that school, when you have to fight Sam and Larry or something too beforehand, don't you? Or you get to go into the school bus, whatever it is. But yeah, overall, I really like this episode. Story-wise, it's kind of like Shenmue 3, where it tells a necessary thing. It goes at a decent pace, but it doesn't tell much.
I could have done with a double speed of this storyline. I could have used half an episode of this mall guy.
Yeah, and I think we're probably going to get 2 more episodes similar to this.
Yeah. With
the other 2 remaining Wudu.
Yeah. Anything with Zhu Ying I really liked in this episode, but all the stuff with the old master and his disciple,
It got a little draggy, especially going back to the mall. I think it was 3 times.
Yeah, 3 or 4 times.
But that's this episode.
Previous episode's still my favorite.
So far for me too, yeah. And it's by a fair bit. It'll be interesting to see how they're playing out, because I think where there is so much more episodes, or there's going to be more episodes dedicated to Shenmue 2, not necessarily the details, but spending time on topics. I think we have to spend time on the Wudu to get to flesh out 13 episodes. So it could be some pacing issues where they breeze through the first game and then are kind of forced to take their time in the second one. But we'll see. There's still plenty of storyline left for Shenmue 2. Plus, Shenmue 2 is really almost 3 games, because you have your Hong Kong, then your Kowloon, then your Guilin. Yeah. So we'll see how that all plays out. But not a bad episode by any means, but the last one's still my favorite as well. Some updates. There is... The Kickstarter, I think, is still going for issue 2 of the Shenmue world. New Rio statue out. Did you see that?
Yeah, it looks like the old one, just in a different pose, kinda. Who's doing it? It's not the same people, right?
It's not First 4 Figures. It's actually Sega.
Oh, Sega themselves.
Themselves are doing it. There's a little Easter egg in it too, of a little glass of spilled milk on the floor.
Because it's supposed to represent him in a bar.
Yeah.
Right? Fighting guys.
So that's coming out.
You getting it?
Yeah, I'm probably going to get it. And because it's through Just Geek in the States, assuming they ship to Canada, I didn't look yet, but they also sell the Rio Duck, Rubber Duck, the Tubbs thing. So I'm probably going to get that just because if I'm going to get a chance to get it, I might as well get it now and save on shipping. Speaking of shipping, that limited run order finally showed up today of my messed up Streets of Rage order. And I'm going to pose this question to our listeners. because they may have still messed up the order. So, with limited run games, whenever you buy something, you get one of those collector cards with it, like a trading card. When I bought the PlayStation version of it, I have the one like the limited edition that came in the big Genesis clamshell. It came with one of those cards. Then I get the regular Switch version, and it came with the same card. So I don't know if they gave me the wrong card or if there's multiple editions of a game, because I know there's 4 different Streets of Rage limited run trading cards.
Oh.
And I thought if you bought a different edition, it came with a different card.
It might give you a random card each time.
Or that's what I'm kind of wondering. So if anyone listening to this podcast knows, please let us know. I'd love to know. What else? There's a new Shenmue Magazine coming out. It's called Saga Powered. They have a few episodes or issues out right now, but the third one is going to be about Shenmue, and they are soliciting some people that want some articles or little tidbits written about how the game affected you or something. So I threw my hat in the ring for that. I literally just did it before I came over here while I was eating supper. So I don't know how that's going to play, but that's kind of cool. They did show the cover of the magazine. It looks really neat, so I'll probably pick that up.
Cool. Is that a Kickstarter thing?
You can pre-order it somehow. I don't know what system they use. I hadn't heard of the magazine before today. Apparently I followed them on Twitter or something, or Facebook. I'm not sure. We'll get some feedback from last week's episode. People liked the just us chatting at the end when I was like, oh, turtles!
Yeah, maybe we should talk about more than just Shenmue, I guess, sometimes.
We could do another podcast.
Well, we've done other topics besides Shenmue before, but yeah.
What are you playing right now?
What am I playing right now? Just Overwatch. I almost bought I almost bought a PS5 today.
What stopped you?
The price. It was at.
It was funny. You're like, what stopped you? Like, no.
Yeah. It was at EB Games here in Canada, and they only sell it in a bundle. It's the disc edition with either Horizon Zero Dawn or Gran Turismo 7 and an extra controller, and you get the console, the controller, and the game for $1,040. And I did the math of the retail of all of those things, and it should be $100 cheaper than that. So they're gouging you for an extra $100, and I didn't know retail places could do that.
I think there's other things included with it.
That's all that was on the poster, and that's all the guy said was in it.
I think it has like extended warranty and a stand too, I think.
Oh, okay.
But and pro tip about extended warranties for like video game consoles. Don't buy them, because generally if you use a credit card to buy them, most credit cards offer warranty service for 1 year beyond manufacturer's warranty. So just a little pro tip there.
Yeah. But I already told myself I wasn't going to buy a console until the first either Slim revision or PS5 Pro. So I've got to stick to that. It was just a momentary weakness. It was right there in front of me. I was like, I could have a PS5 right now. No.
Did I ever tell you the story about running into the guy buying one?
No, I don't think so.
At EB, or GameStop now. But there was a gentleman there that had one in stock, and he was having it in front of me in line. I was picking up like a game or something, and I was like, "Oh, you got one?" He's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Sell it to you for like." I think he said $1,200 or something.
Dear God.
And I'm like, no, thanks. And he was like kind of joking, but kind of serious too. And I'm like, no, man, I'll wait.
He said that in the
store right in front of the employees. So the minute he takes it and walks away, and they start waiting on me, I looked the employee dead in the eye and said, "Do you think I could run faster than him?" And the employee didn't know how to take it. I'm like, I'm joking. Did you get Elden Ring?
No, I don't. I've tried Souls games, as they're called, a few times. I tried Dark Souls 1 and Bloodborne at least. Maybe also Dark Souls 3. But I play them a little bit, and then I'm like, it's just not for me. I don't know. I hate repeating shit over and over again, and you die, and then you have to repeat it. So I want to move forward usually in my gaming, And I also don't like the aesthetic. The dark fantasy does not really appeal to me that much.
Yeah, they just look so bland to me.
Yeah.
There's nothing appealing about any of those games to me.
Yeah.
I've been playing Streets of Rage 4, still doing the survival mode. I made it to level 37.
Nice.
Which is pretty good. Still playing a lot of Splatoon 2 online, too.
Yeah.
I really enjoy that game. That's one of those games where the concept of it just blew me away.
Did you play Risk of Rain?
No.
Have you heard of it?
Yes.
It's kind of like survival mode in Streets of Rage, where you get power-ups, and they're permanent power-ups for your playthrough, and you just try to get further and further each time.
I think GameStop has it for the PS4, if memory serves me correct. And it has Risk of Rain 1 and... There's 2 of them, isn't there?
Yeah.
It has 1 and 2 on the same disc.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've got part 2 on the Switch. It was on sale real cheap one time.
Maybe I'll look into that.
Well, we can go upstairs and you can try it if you want after this.
What else have I been playing? WCW NWO World Tour for the the N64. I just popped that in and tried to unlock... I unlocked all the characters except for the girl so far. I just love those THQ wrestling games. They're freaking...
How many of those were there?
We had 4 of them in North America. We had WCW NWO World Tour, WCW NWO Revenge, WrestleMania 2000, and WWF No Mercy. In Japan, they also got Virtual Pro Wrestling and Virtual Pro Wrestling 2. Virtual Pro Wrestling is literally just the first WCW NWO World Tour with more stuff added to it. The menus and everything are identical. There's like create a character or an editor in it, more modes, and just more characters. And then Virtual Pro Wrestling 2 is... I gotta get used to the menus more, but like people widely consider it the best wrestling game of all time.
Whoa.
And Japan also got... There's a Japanese version of WrestleMania 2000 as well.
Cool. Do you play the current wrestling games, like 2K, whatever?
I have all of them up to 2K20. I haven't, but I don't play them. I just collect them.
Oh, okay.
I would like to go through.
I know they revamped the whole series, like with the latest one.
2K, they did, yeah.
22,
yeah. Because they skipped 21. They took a year off because.
And they switched developers.
They did.
Yeah.
And WWE's actually looking at EA Sports Electronic Arts to make the new one the next one depending on how this one sells and reviews. But yeah, I'm trying to collect every wrestling game ever made. Essentially from 8-bit onward. I don't really care about anything before the Nintendo or Master System. There's apparently a book out that's called Wrestling with Pixels that has all the wrestling games ever made up to like 2017 or 2018 in it. So
cool.
I hinted at my wife that'd be a good birthday present.
So yeah, I've just been playing Overwatch, and then the next thing I'm doing is on Friday, Borderlands Tiny Tina's Wonderland is coming out, and I'm going to play that with some mutual friends of ours, because they always get every new Borderlands game, and they invited me to join them. They usually just have 3 people, but I'll be their 4th this time, so that'll be fun. Adrian and those guys.
I've never played a Borderlands game before.
They're good. In
my life.
They're funny.
What else? Pop in GoldenEye every once in a while.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed that we might be getting GoldenEye
on the
Xbox and the Switch.
Oh, I thought you meant on like the online service for Nintendo or something.
Well, yeah, that's the original GoldenEye might be coming towards that, and then the remake that was leaked might be on Switch and Xbox as well, which would be awesome. I'm creating a list of it was the top 5 games I'm hyped for, but I forget to put Cyberpunk Bomb Rush on it, and I forgot this GoldenEye on it as well, even though it's not confirmed. So I may have to update that list a bit. But if they can get GoldenEye with all the content in it on a modern system
with good controls,
it had great controls.
No,
anyways.
Well, they wouldn't map to a modern controller anyway, so they'd have to change them, wouldn't they?
Yeah. I mean the C buttons for strafing and stuff.
Yeah,
but that might be the most impressive thing in video game history if that can be done, because you have the James Bond license, you have the James Bond theme license, it's a rare Microsoft property on a Nintendo published by Nintendo.
Pierce Brosnan's facial likeness.
You have all of the likenesses of Pierce Brosnan plus everyone else that's in the game. You also have the license to potentially GoldenEye to make games, because that went from Rare to EA to Activision, and now whoever holds that. You have the rights to like the actual GoldenEye film, like through, it was, I think, MGM does the James Bond movies.
Somebody just bought them. Was it Amazon that bought MGM?
Yes, I'm pretty sure it was Amazon. So there's just so much. And now Amazon's in the gaming atmosphere as well, the gaming realm, with Luna, is it called?
Yeah, I think so.
So there's
too much content. There's too much
red tape to cut through to get this. But if by any miracle it actually gets done, I'll be the first one playing it.
Well, I mean, did you see like all the leaked stuff of that completed GoldenEye remake?
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah,
it's that game that never came out years ago.
Yeah, that they're
coming out.
Yeah, supposedly.
Oh, okay.
So
they just took what was previously done and I assume polished it even further.
Yeah, and like it still looks GoldenEye. Like they change the textures on everything, but like it's still GoldenEye.
Yeah.
It's still the exact same game.
Nice.
Which again is GoldenEye's in my top 10 games of all time. I can go through and play on the hardest difficulty, Bunker 2, with throwing the strategies that you do use guns eventually, but you use the throwing knives, and I can beat that level without getting hit. And as a kid, I ran through it as a maniac and got the time in like the 3 or 4 minutes or whatever it is. It's also a Natalia level, so it makes you want to put a gun in your own mouth because she's the worst.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we should wrap it up, I guess.
So, catch us on the socials, Shenmue at Shenmue AM2 Pod on Twitter, Shenmue AM2 Podcast at gmail.com. Let us know if you have any problems getting this. I think it's all sorted out. I think we're all good to go on that front. Facebook, page, group, dojo, we're all there. And we'd like to thank our sponsor this week, the Golden Shopping Mall.
Now homeless person free.
Yay. Bye.
Bye.